Recipes, recipes, and more recipes. Everywhere you look, from your mom's cooking website with half her life story before the actual recipe, to recipes from Michelin star chefs, the internet is full of them. We'll never catch a break from these recipes, and in this endless sea of recipes, we find this. An unapologetic cookbook. Beautiful pictures with detailed text that just makes you confident enough that even you, yes you, the person that can make a soft-boiled egg, can make a tasty decadent ramen or perfect homemade gnocchi. I'm here today to share the truth about this best-selling cookbook and its so-called recipes. Hello guys, a bit of a dramatic intro today, but it's true. Today we will put to the test the book of Joshua Weissman. Because millions of people bought the book, but is it really good and can it help you become a better cook? We'll find out by cooking a nice brunch menu with a rich and decadent eggs benedict and a creamy pesto gnocchi, everything, and I really mean everything, from scratch. Okay, let's go. So first, eggs benedict. When you think about it, it's not that hard to make them, but making everything from scratch, just how Joshua intended, is gonna take you around 3 to 4 hours instead of the 20-minute cook time and 10-minute prep time that is written in the book. First thing first, we gotta make the English muffins. To start, we'll combine 140 grams milk with 140 grams water and mix in 9 grams of yeast and heat it to 38°C. Because of course every normal person has a thermometer in their kitchen.
Right, yeah, of course.
And we'll let it sit for 10 minutes. First thing that went wrong is that the yeast did not activate and I ended up using more like 16 to 20 grams of yeast until it got foamy, and I even put it in the microwave for 40 seconds to get it more warm. So be careful when making this. Now, before making the flour mixture, please admire my new electronic scale that even says hello when you open it. Who doesn't love capitalism?
No.
Okay, now we will mix 600 grams flour with 6 grams fine sea salt and 13 grams sugar. Then we'll add the yeast mixture and 28 grams normal butter, because I don't see the point in making the unsalted butter recipe when you can just use normal butter. And now we'll mix. And then we will knead the dough until it's smooth, then we'll let it rise in an oven heated to 60 degrees Celsius. Now we can do the pour check so we have them ready until the dough has risen. We will fill a small pot with water and add a few splashes of vinegar, around 8 milliliters, and get it to a boil, then switch to low to medium. Then we will crack the eggs in a small bowl, and when buying the eggs, try to buy the biggest ones and most importantly the freshest, because otherwise they will look a bit sad and will not form correctly. We can even create a small whirlpool so the eggs spin. Also, the whirlpool doesn't allow the egg yolk to separate from the egg whites. And now slowly we will get the bowl closely to the pot and gently drop in the egg and let it cook for around 3 minutes. You can even cook 3 eggs at a time in a small pot at one time. Now, not every egg will turn perfect, and I tell you that out of experience because one time I had to cook 60 poached eggs and I wasted around 20, so don't despair, just try again and you will get it right the next time. You can see that out of the 4 I cooked, only 2 look somewhat good, the rest are too flat. And now to flex my new stainless steel pan, we will cook our bacon. That is not actually bacon but pancetta, because for some reason they don't have bacon in Italy, but it's still kinda the same thing, just round. Preheat the pan on medium to high heat, place the bacon and then turn it to medium to not burn it. We want it really crispy, so take your time. Just listen to this nice sizzling sound and appreciate the little things in life. Look how nice and crispy it looks. Totally amazing. Stir the bacon on some paper towels so it doesn't get soggy. Also, don't throw away the fat because we'll use it for the hollandaise sauce to give it more flavor and improve Joshua's basic ass sauce. Coming to the sauce, for which we will do half the recipe, I have to warn you that this is one of the hardest sauces you can do as a beginner. It will take you a bit of time before you can master this one, but let's give it a go. Now, from my knowledge as a beginner chef, I know that you need to use clarified butter or ghee for a good hollandaise, but we will do what Joshua said and melt around 50 grams of butter, but we will melt it in the microwave because it's much faster. Also, we're not pussies and we will not use a blender, we'll make it the old-fashioned way over a bain-marie. So fill a small pot halfway with water and get it to boil. Then in a metal bowl, not plastic or glass, add 2 large egg yolks and 10 milliliters lemon juice. Mix very fast and take it off the heat if necessary to cook the egg yolks. Unfortunately, my first try didn't work because the heat was too high, but I will try again. Now on lower heat, we'll beat the yolks until emulsified and then slowly add the melted butter. After adding all the butter and having a nice consistency, we will add more lemon juice if needed and season with salt to taste. Then store it in a glass or metal container with film touching the sauce in the same oven where the dough is rising. We want to keep it nice and warm so it doesn't break, one thing Joshua forgot to mention in his book. Now with all the lemons done, we can start shaping the dough. You can see that it has risen nicely, and I gotta give it to Josh, this is one of the best doughs I have ever made, really fluffy and smooth. We will flatten the dough with a used wine bottle, not because I don't have a rolling pin, but because I really love the planet and want to upcycle. For shaping, a metal circle would be best, but I don't have one and probably neither do you, so we will just use a normal glass that has a round wide mouth, perfect for. Anyway, cut the dough now, pressing with the glass and making nice even circles. Try to use as much of the dough as you can, but don't overwork it. I tried passing it through cornmeal, but it didn't stick unfortunately. After that, we'll leave it to proof again for around 30 minutes. Then I tried again to put the cornmeal, and this time it worked because they got moist again in the oven. In a frying pan that we heated to medium heat and added a splash of oil in, we'll place our muffins and let them cook for 5 to 7 minutes until nice golden brown. Keep checking them and adjust the heat accordingly. Look how nice the bread looks and how fluffy it is inside. Okay, now we can do the plating. We'll cut the top of one muffin, place it on the plate, add the bacon on top, then the poached eggs, and we'll drizzle the creamy hollandaise on top. Then we'll hit it with some fresh pepper and minced parsley. And voila, look how pretty it looks. We can say that even if this recipe has some shortcomings, it was pretty good, so I give it an 8. Also, look how creamy the yolk is dripping on the plate. Truly amazing. Okay, the first recipe was pretty good, but don't get your hopes up, Joshua. Now it's the real test. The pesto gnocchi. For this one, we'll start by boiling the potatoes with their skin on, and one very important thing to add here, use the correct kind of potatoes. Joshua said to use russet potatoes, but if we are being realistic, the chance of finding this kind even in a big supermarket outside of the US is kinda slim, so I just used normal white potatoes that look similar to russet potatoes. While the potatoes are boiling, we can start to do the pesto by roasting the pine nuts until golden brown. Now in a blender, preferably a high-speed one if you want to achieve the same effect as Joshua, or a house kitchen blender if you're a normal person. Besides the toasted pine nuts, we'll add 40 grams basil leaves, no stems, the 5 cloves of garlic, 250 grams parmesan, which in my opinion is way too much. You can make 3 separate pestos with this, and it's also very expensive, but we'll do it like Papa Josh said. Before beginning to blend, we will add a splash of water to loosen things up, and while it's blending, stream in some oil or just add it gradually. At the end, we will season it to taste with salt and pepper. If you want to keep it nice and green, you should put it over a nice bath in the fridge. Anyway, this pesto, I'm not gonna lie, it's amazing. It's creamy, decadent, full of flavor, but way too fatty. This is the kind of pesto you do for a special occasion or for a date night, not after work or a random weekend, because if you would eat this regularly, you can start applying for your American visa. With the sauce finished, we can get back to our gnocchi. Now when I made this recipe, you gotta understand that I was hella tired. Then I have a potato masher, so I took a big shortcut, and after peeling the potatoes, burning my hand in the process, I blended the potatoes. Is this a bad thing? The answer is yes and no. This is because now the potatoes have turned a bit gooey, but nevertheless I don't have a potato ricer like Joshua, so I use something that all of us have. If you use the ricer, the consistency of the gnocchi will be more fluffy and less like a gummy bear, but at the end of the day it's still a gnocchi. With the potatoes blended, I mean mashed of course, we can add 1 egg, 300 grams flour and 6 grams salt and start kneading the dough. The camera however decided to fuck my plans and I lost the footage of me mixing everything in, but as you can see, after the dough gets to the right consistency, we'll shape it into logs, cut squares and flatten them with a fork to give them some shape. The shaping part is much more easier if you have something like this, which I recommend to buy if you want to make this at home, because they will look much better and in the end it's not even that expensive, or at around 8 euros. Anyway, the gnocchi is now done and we can make the dish. To cook them is pretty easy, just get some water to boil, add a spoon of salt and plop them in. When they start floating on the surface, you know that they are done and you can take them out on a plate. As you will see now, the first time I made them I failed because Josh forgets a very important thing to say. Never ever heat up the pesto sauce because it will split. The cheese will melt and the fat will start floating on the top, which we don't want. But from this failed try, I found a very good tip for you guys. If you leave your gnocchi in the freezer for one day, the next day they will be much more fluffy, so this is the way to go. Anyway, the next day I just boiled the gnocchi again, and in a bowl, not in a pan on the stove, I mixed the hot gnocchi with the cold sauce, adding just a bit of pasta water to get a nice consistency. And you can see that now it looks really delicious. Okay, I can't lie, this recipe was also really good, but the gnocchi itself is not as amazing as the sauce, because the gnocchi can be improved so much more with helping people make it at home with less equipment. But overall, I think if a person tries this for the first time, making gnocchi at home with this recipe, they will be happy with the result nevertheless, because it's amazing. It was really good. I was really happy after a lot of work eating something 100% made by me from scratch. So yeah, it's a good recipe. You just gotta understand that if you don't have the right equipment for the job, it will not be perfect. It will just be homemade. Now for my verdict on the book. Truth be said, it's a good book to increase your curiosity and make you try new things at home. But don't buy it just because you think this will make you a better cook, because it won't. This is just a helping hand, and to get good, you just need to practice and keep cooking until you get it right. And I'm not hating on Josh, like I love his content. He's a very big inspiration for me, and all of us can learn a lot from him. And if you have no experience, there are a lot of books for you that actually hold your hand if you need that. If you guys want any suggestions, just hit me up on my Insta or in the comments. Hope you guys liked today's video. I know there was a lot compared to my other videos, but I want to level up with every new upload to get better, but also to make you guys more interested in cooking. We are soon getting to 1K, and after that I will be able to monetize my videos and hopefully get better equipment, maybe a camera. So if you want to support me, please subscribe, like, and comment. Until next time, keep spreading those kitchen smiles and happy cooking.